Shalom everyone. We are continuing the limud of Sefer Yeshayahu. We're up to Perek Chaf Hei. Perek Chaf Hei is directly connected because, as I said many times, the chapter divisions are of non-Jewish origin, so they don't really matter as far as our understanding of the psukim go. And Perek Chaf Daled was describing the very turbulent tzarais of Ikvasa de Mashiach, culminating in the glorious Geula. And the Navi continues the great joy that will be felt by Klal Yisrael when there finally is the Geula Shlema b'mheira v'yameinu. Hashem Elokai, Hashem my God, Ata Aromimcha, I will elevate your name in praise. Odeh Shimcha, I will give thanks to your name. Ki asisa pela, because you have done wonders. Eitzais meirachaik, your wise counsel meirachok, from a very long time ago. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made this plan all the way back at the very beginning of the world. And now it has come to fruition. Emuna Omein. You have been absolutely faithful, meaning exactly what you said you would do. You would do. So Emuna does not mean faith. It means faithfulness, reliability, dependability. Kel emunah. God is a God of dependability and reliability. Ki samta meir lagol. You took the great, powerful cities of the persecutors of the Jews, and you made them a pile of rubble. Kirya Betsura, their great fortified cities, Lamapela, to simply be a pile of rocks. Armon Zarim Meir Liolam Lo Yibana. The palace of the stranger who rejected you in the big city was destroyed in a way that it shall never be rebuilt again. Al Kain, and therefore Hashem. This is a song when Mashiach comes. Yichabducha Amaz, a nation that has now become strong. That is Am Yisrael. Now the Gemara actually says that Yisrael is actually the Azin Sheba'umais. Because in spite of the fact that we go through so much suffering, we remain tough. We remain resilient. Now the downside is, that's why we're yeshayahu. We're too stubborn. Even the Gabi, the Ribbono Shel Olam. But that quality of azus, of inner strength, serves us well in times of persecution. And therefore the Amaz, the nation that is so strong inside, will honor you, Hashem. Kiryas Goyim Aritzim Yiraucha. And the cities of the mighty Goyim that have been cut down, Aritzim Yiraucha, they will fear you. Ki hayisa ma'oz ladal. Because at the end of the day, you gave strength to the poor. Ma'oz lievyain. You gave strength, or you were the source of strength for the destitute. Bitzarlo, in his suffering. Machazeh mizerem. You were the shelter from the torrential waters that could sweep you away. So we're using the water as a remez to the nations of the world. Seil mechorev. And you were a shade from the burning heat. Right? There's fire and there's water. You were our shade from the fiery heat. And you are our wall against the torrential waters. Again, the Mefarshim say that this is a remez to the two types of persecutions. Water is the assimilation to make us like the Goyim, and Eish is the guy that tries to destroy us. So we have two different nisyanis. We have the guy, like Nazi Germany, that wants to physically eradicate us. And then we have the guy that fakert wants us to become like him. He opens up opportunities. So that's called Mayim. So when David HaMelech talks about Klal Yisrael, Banu b'eish uvamayim. We face the nisyanas of murderous persecution, and we face the nisayan of friendly assimilation. And in all cases, Hashem protects us from the zerem, from the current, and Hashem protects us from the heat. Ki ruach aritzim, ki zerem kir. Because the spirit of the mighty nations is like a swift current of water against the wall. Now, it's not clear to me why the end of the pasuk only uses the remez of zerem, meaning it starts off saying Hashem is our protection from the current, and Hashem is our shade from the heat, and then it ends because the spirit of the mighty nations is like a mighty current. But then the next pasuk picks up the other part of the metaphor. Kechorev bitzayon sha'on zarim tachnia. That sha'on zarim means the shout, the multitude of the zarim, of those nations that reject God. Tachnia, you will subjugate, and you will become like the heat in the desert, meaning that which they do to us, you, Hashem, will be the chorev, that heat in the desert. Chorev b'tseil av, that their heat will be blocked by a thick shade. Zamir aritzim ya'aneh. Now, again, a big machlokas. Rashi says Zamir aritzim. Zamir does not mean singing, but it's cutting off the branches. The branches of the mighty will be cut off. Zamir, ya'aneh, and they will suffer poverty. They will be subjugated. The cut off branches of the mighty ones will be subjugated to you, Hashem. V'yasa Hashem tzivakos l'chol ha'amim b'har hazeh. And on that day, Hashem will do for all of the nations. Now again, it describes a banquet. So is this a good thing or a bad thing? So we'll just go with Rashi. Mishteh shemanim, mishteh shemarim. Hashem will make a banquet, and the banquet, however, will not be as appetizing as one might have thought. It will be a banquet of fat, and the drinking will be a banquet of sediment. These are essentially inedible. Shemanim memuchayim, it will be the fat of marrow. Shemarim mezukakim, and it'll be the sediment that have been drained of all wine. As if to say, it'll be like a poisonous meal, that the nations of the world whose whole goal was taiva will be served food that will destroy them. Again, Slav Dafka literal, but this is the mashal that's being given. Ubila b'harazeh p'nei halayt al kol ha'amim. And on this mountain, Har Tzion, which is the Harabayas, Hashem will remove the coverings, meaning there's a lot of hypocrisy in the world. People say things, promise things, which they don't believe, and they don't intend to keep. They profess belief in Hashem when they don't believe in Hashem. And what this is saying is, when the Geula finally comes, all of the pretenses will be lifted. Masecha, right, the word masecha, mask. We knew masecha from Purim. The past 2 years we know it from COVID. But the masecha hanesucha kol hagoyim, the mask will be lifted. And what Yemot HaMashiach will bring to us is a full understanding of the emes. All masks are going to be stripped away. And Pasuk Ches is a famous Pasuk that to this very day we often recite at a hesped or in the house of an Avel. Bila hamaves lanetzach. Hashem will destroy death forever. Now, this is lav dafka as soon as Mashiach comes, because Techiyas HaMesim will be after Mashiach, but eventually there will be Techiyas HaMesim, and when that happens, death will be destroyed forever. Umacha Hashem Elokim dima mi'al kol panim, and Hashem will erase tears, wipe up tears from all faces. V'cherpas amai yosir mi'al kol haaretz, and the shame and humiliation that his nation has been suffering for generations, Hashem will take away. Ki Hashem diber. This is God's decree that will never be changed. And then the next pasuk is also a famous pasuk. There are nigunim to it, and we also say it on Simchas Tarish Mini Atzeres in Eretz Yisrael before Hakafas. V'amar b'yaymahu, and Klal Yisrael will say on that day, the day that will come after so many centuries of suffering and devastation, the Churban of two Batei Mikdash, the Crusades, the pogroms, the Holocaust, the terrorism. But when the day finally comes, they will say, Hine Elokeinu zeh kivinu lai v'yeshayahu. Behold, this is the God that we were hoping for all these centuries, and He has finally saved us. Seh Hashem, this is the God kivinu lai. Nagila v'nismacha b'shuasai. Let us rejoice and be happy in His salvation. Ki sanuach yad Hashem b'har hazeh. The hand of God shall rest on this holy mountain, Har Tzion, Yerushalayim. V'nadosh mayav tachtov. So now there's a reference to mayav. Why bedafka mayav of all the nations? We've already had nevuos about the Churban of mayav, but mayav will be threshed. Ki hidesh maspein b'madmena, as you would thresh straw till it becomes part of the dirt and the filth in the ground. That'll happen to mayav. Upeiras yadav bekirbai kasher yifares hashseicha lischais, that Hashem will stretch forth His arm to punish all the nations, like a swimmer moves his arm out. V'hishpil gavasai, and He will lower the gaiva, the pride of Mayav and other nations. Im orbais yadav, with the stretching out of His hand. That's the Zraya Netuya. Umiftsar miskav chaimesacha heishach hishpil higia lioretz adafar. So this is talking to Mayav. And the strong fortifications of your walls, heishach, Hashem will lower, mashpil, bring to the ground, till it reaches the land and it reaches the dust. So again, this is a description of Geula and the Mapala of all of the nations that have waged war against Am Yisrael.